Welcome to the Tiffany Micah podcast. What we do here is build the strength and courage in you to accomplish your big dreams and goals in your sport. No longer will you feel limited. You won't feel you're not good enough. You won't question whether you will make it. Those doubts will disappear because you will have the competitive edge over your opponents and leave them in your wake. And the bonus is others will notice. Listen up and take notes because I will show you exactly how to do it. Hey there, this is Tiff from Tiffany Micah Podcast and welcome to today's episode. Well, we've all been thrown the biggest challenge we've had to face, haven't we? I know that in my lifetime, and I'm sure it's most likely in your lifetime. The COVID-19, the threat of the virus, the unknown quantities of it, the impact it's having on our life, the impact it's having on our community, the impact it's having on our country, the impact it's having on our world, and the health impact that it's having, not only with regards to people who've lost their lives, but also the mental health, the struggle that people have had with this from a financial point of view, also being confined, also the physical health side of things. People have been affected because people have felt that they can't do anything, can't exercise. There's always ways around things, by the way. And then there's the financial impact that it's having right around the world. It's incredible what's going on. And it's been a really surreal time. And I know my 12-year-old niece, Evie, which I talk about from time to time, she was terrified in the beginning when we're starting to have restrictions put in place and what they were talking about, COVID-19. And what was really worrying her was that unknown element. And I said to her, what's wrong, sweetie pie? And she said, I'm scared I'm going to die, right? Because that was the portrayal of what's been going on with the coronavirus. They report all the deaths that's happened. So imagine a 12-year-old worrying about dying. Can you imagine what impact that's having on her, right? The fear that it's placed on her, frightened of going anywhere, frightened of doing anything. And we had a really good talk about that. And the rest of the world's been living in fear in one form or another because everything has been so unknown. But the restrictions are starting to be lifted slowly around the world. And then there's that fear of that second wave. And this is just one challenge. This is just one obstacle that you're going to be facing in your life. We've got this now. There's other things that are going to happen that are not going to be as surreal and as big as this, but you're going to be facing challenges as well in everything that you do. And I'm not saying that there's not going to be more coronaviruses, because the coronavirus is like what I shared with you very earlier on in previous episodes, was that, the flu is a form of a coronavirus as well. It's a family. But what I'm saying here really is that I want you to understand this, that we're always going to be thrown a roadblock, or we're always going to be thrown an obstacle. We're always going to be thrown a challenge. And what we need to be doing is we need to be working through that challenge, that roadblock, that obstacle to get to the next point. Now, if you've heard my episode, it was a lessons learned episode. It's not the destination, it's the journey. And what we talked about in that was, I said to you had to learn a set of skills that would help you get to a particular destination. And that was a particular goal. But in order to get to that next goal, or that next destination, you have to learn a new set of skills to help get you to the next destination. And a lot of the skills that you are learning will be how to deal and how to challenge, how to deal and cope with roadblocks that are going to be thrown your way. how to deal and cope with challenges that are going to be being thrown your way. How you're going to deal with obstacles that are going to be thrown your way. And this is what I want you to be figuring out in your sport. I want you to be figuring out what the roadblocks, the challenges, the obstacles that are going to be in your way. And this is what we're going to be focusing on. It's a nice quick episode for you today. So the first question is what I want you to answer is this, what I've just mentioned. What are the roadblocks or the challenges or the obstacles that are in your way right now? And I want you to be really thinking about what they are, because you'll need to get your notebook out and I want you to write all of this down. Because I'll give you some examples. It could be something like no competitions, there's no tournaments, there's no races. You're not training the way that you want to. You can't practice. You've picked up some bad habits. You're feeling negative about your direction in your sport. And so what I want you to do is I want you to identify what are the roadblocks right now for you. Could be a lot of mental things. I get people to fill out a questionnaire because I want to know what's going on in their head. And a lot of it is that they don't know mentally how to deal with things. And I get that because I went through that too. I've been through that. I didn't know mentally how to deal with things when I was competing when I was 16. I didn't know how to do that when I was 20 either. But you learn the skills. You've got to learn how to do things. The mental skills, you don't just know how to do them. What used to blow my mind when I'd still be competing tennis just locally because I was tennis coaching in my late 20s and early 30s and so on. And I always remember the tennis center that I used to work at and used to coach a lot at, the guy that ran it, he was a former pro tennis player, played little bit of Davis Cup, played around the world and all that sort of stuff. But he wasn't heavily into it. And he said to me that his mindset was just hit the ball back over the net. And that's all he used to focus on. And I thought that was really interesting sort of thing coming from someone who had been, a reasonable tennis player. Like he was playing on the tour, but he wasn't anything out of the ordinary. And I thought, well, that's why he didn't get to the heights he may have wanted to get to. Because he just thought, well, I've just got to hit the ball back over the net. That was his approach. But it goes much deeper than that. There's so much more involved than that. And if you want to become not just a pro athlete, you want to become the best. And I'm gathering that you do want to become the best. Then we've got to do this work. We've got to work on our heads. Because every single approach that you have to sport, every single approach that you have to everything that you do in your life, so whether it's you're at school or you're at college or you're, training full-time as an athlete, everything comes back to mindset. Everything. Every decision you make is what are the thoughts going on in your head. So you need to understand that. So what I want you to do here in this question is I want to really understand what are the roadblocks here for you right now. And it's okay for you to list as many things as you want to. And it's okay to admit that, you know what, my head's not right. And I want you to admit that. If it's not right, say that. Because I know when I was competing when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, especially when I was 19 and 20, those were really tough years in the tennis for me from a mental point of view. I didn't know it was my head that was holding me back. I thought I just didn't train hard enough. And you've probably heard me say this many times. But it was the thoughts that were going on in my head that was holding me back. It was like, oh yeah, well no, Tiff, you can't do that because you're not good enough. Oh no, Tiff, you can't play with that group because they're so much better than you. Oh, no, Tiff, you're not going to win this match because she already plays on the tour. Oh, no, Tiff, don't try too hard because you don't want to embarrass yourself if you lose. No, don't do that. Don't go that way, Tiff. Can you imagine how much that held me back? Well, if you've been listening to me for a while, you've heard it. But I don't want those thoughts going on in your head to hold you back. You have an opportunity to do something that you really want to do. You have an opportunity not to be limited in your thoughts. That's why I'm here. And I'm saying to you, hey, no limits. Let's go. And you know what? You're going to get doubts that are going to creep into your head. We all do. I do. I have it. But I'm like, no, you know what? Suck it up. Let's go. There's things that I'm doing at the moment. I'm like, oh, I'm not sure if that's the right way to go. Or, I don't know what somebody, if I send them this particular video, what are they going to think of it? Oh, you know what? Just do it. And that's what I'm saying to you. Yeah, you know what? You're going to have doubts. You're going to be concerned. You're going to be worried. But what I want you to do is I want you to go out there and say to yourself, I'm just going to give the best that I can of me today. When you train, I'm just going to give the best effort I can of me today. I'm going to show up and give my best effort of me today. Because that's all you can do. And if you keep working on giving the best of you every day, in training, in practice, in how you approach things mentally, in how you approach your nutritional regime, when it comes to competing again, you're going to crush it because you've been working on giving the best of you every day. And that's something that you should be proud of. Don't beat yourself up. Oh, that's not good enough. I'm going to pull out of something. I'm worried I'm going to fall short. If you worry that you're going to fall short, you will. I know with people that play golf, as you know, I still teach a bit of golf. And the biggest fear that people have is they're worried that they're going to make a mistake. And I get it because I went through that too when I was learning to play golf. They're worried they're going to miss the hole. They're worried that the ball's not going to end up on the green. They're worried that they're not going to play the shot well. And do you know what happens? They don't. They stuff it up. And I know that because I felt the same way when I started. I used to stuff everything up too because it was my attitude. But if you have the attitude that all you can do is give your best effort that you can give in that moment, then that's all you can ask for, and be proud of yourself that you did that. I know I'm getting a little bit off track, but I think it's really important to share that with you. I can talk about this area forever because this is the stuff that's going to make you or break you. Your attitude, your mental attitude, your mental approach. And this is why you hear from me so often. We've got to get that head right. We've got to get you into thinking that all you can do is give your best effort of you every single time that you go and do something that's going to be relevant to what you're doing for your sport. And when you go in with that attitude, you go, you know what, that's the best that I could give of me today. And that's okay. Sometimes you're not going to be able to train as heavily as you'd like to because you just can't that day, but you've given it a go. You've tried your best in that day. You've pushed yourself as much as you can. Other days everything's going to flow and it's going to be so easy. I've had that. I still go through that. I love training. I know there was one time I was at the gym and I went about 3 o'clock in the morning because I had my senses were heightened. It was the most amazing feeling I've ever had. It was way beyond the zone, way beyond the zone. It was so amazing. I felt like I was on this new wavelength that I'd never experienced before. It's so amazing to be in that. And I was like that. I was like, oh my God, I hope this lasts all day, because there's so much that I can get out of me today. I loved it. I loved feeling that. But that was because of all the effort. I keep giving my best effort of me every day. I keep showing up every day. Not only in the gym, but in what I'm doing with building Reach Your Potential with Tiff. I'm giving the best that I can each day. Some days I'm productive, some days I'm not. Some days you're productive, some days you're not. But you got to keep showing up. Showing up is like half the battle. You show up. Show up and just give the best that you can give of you on the day. Show up and give the best of you that you can in that training session. Show up and give that best of you in that practice session. Show up and give that best of you when you compete. That's all you can do. Let's move on to number 2, because I could talk about this forever, like I say. So we'll go back to the first question. What are the roadblocks, challenges, or obstacles that are in your way? And number 2, for each roadblock that you've identified, or challenge or obstacle, whatever you want to call it, I want you to brainstorm ideas of how you can overcome them. So, for example, bad habits. That's a good one. So, what are the bad habits? What are the ones that are working for you? And you would have heard a previous episode I talked about striving in lockdown essential habits. So we're working on identifying the habits. So that could be a roadblock. What's another one? Another one is you're not training the way that you want. Why? Why are you not training the way you want? Well, at the moment we know why. But I want you to identify why you're not training the way that you want. And what are the ways that you could train that could help you get ready for the time when everything gets back to normal again, for the time of when you get to compete again? What are the things that you could do right now? Number 3, what are the action steps that you're going to put in place for each roadblock? Because you've already brainstormed the ideas in number 2. Number 3, you've got to figure out what are the action steps you've got to put in place. And number 4, what you want to do here is you want to then identify those action steps that you've created in step 3, put them into step 4 in the sense of, okay, well, when are you going to work on them during the week and what day? And then how are you going to do that? Okay, so you got some work to do. So let's go. Okay, let's crush it. Because remember, we want to crush it when we compete, when things get back to normal. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Love it if you could share with me what you like best about what you heard today. If you've got friends that you know that would benefit from these episodes, love it too if you could share these episodes with your friends, because we want to build the Reach Your Potential with Tiff community as big as we possibly can. And I want you to dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams. Take care. Talk soon. Before you go, do you have a free copy of my book, Focus, How to Reach Your Potential in Sport, Business and Life? To get your free copy, go to tiffanymica.com/free book. Look forward to seeing you there. Dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams.